The main card presents yet another episode of our great show, and of course, today it's all about Survivor Series. And in this episode, I am proud to say the biggest winner, of course, of this entire Survivor Series weekend is the new NXT Women's Champion Ember Moon, who captured the title in a fatal four-way match at NXT TakeOver War Games. Finally, after failing to capture the title on two occasions, you might as well say three, because she wasn't able to compete at one NXT TakeOver because of injury, but finally she captured the title from a fatal four-way match with the eclipse on both Nikki Cross and Peyton Royce. She finally climbs the mountain, and she's finally at the top of the NXT food chain, the NXT War Goddess. The myth herself is the woman on top of it all. The biggest winner of this entire weekend, Ember Moon, the new NXT Women's Champion. And of course, we know that it was about Survivor Series this past weekend, and now I wanted to just wait and to just check what the fallout is going to be from the entire event on Monday Night Raw, because SmackDown Live is tomorrow morning, of course, so we are going to be tuning into that, and we are going to be watching that. But what I wanted to touch on, honestly, because I'm not really great on like ratings or whatnot. I don't really like doing the whole ratings thing, but I will say one thing though. There was a tweet that was there was a tweet that was sent out by Chris Muller at BR_Doctor, whom I think is from the Bleacher Report, and he was asking the question, what was the better show this weekend, hashtag Survivor Series or hashtag NXT TakeOver? And overwhelmingly the public voted for NXT TakeOver War Games, 61% to 39%. And I think it's a reflection of what happened at Survivor Series, because it didn't necessarily live up to the expectations that we had of it, because of the fact that the card was so perfect, because of the fact that the card was so well stacked, and everyone, including myself, we were all looking forward to it. We were all looking forward to seeing what's going to be transpiring at Survivor Series. And there are a lot of people who I would say that were big winners on the night. There are a lot of people who I would say they really, really did well. They really put everything on the line. I mean, all the superstars put everything on the line, but there are those people who I feel like were able to outshine others. And, people who I feel were big winners on the night, I would say Baron Corbin was a big winner on the night. Number one, for getting over clean over The Miz and defeating The Miz as I wished he could, and he absolutely did. And I say I wished he could because in a previous episode I had said that I don't think Baron Corbin's going to win, because I felt that the Miz Taraj is going to be a factor, and they were a factor, but Baron Corbin was able to neutralize that and was able to pick up the win for SmackDown Live. So Baron Corbin, the Lone Wolf, is one of the big winners of the entire night, I gotta say, because the fact that now it's a great opportunity for him to build on this momentum, to take it forward, and to show exactly why he is the United States champion. And it gives him an opportunity as well to further develop and to further get better. And I will also say another big winner of the night was the Usos. Even though the match wasn't the match of the night where it was as show-stealing as I'd hoped it would be, it still was a great match to watch, because you had the Usos going up against The Bar, Sheamus and Cesaro. So Usos, they also brought it for Team Blue. And I was Team SmackDown the entire way. And unfortunately, we lost 4-3 to Monday Night Raw. And when you watch that match with Brock Lesnar and AJ Styles, it's understandable why you would have Brock, tying it up for Monday Night Raw, because that is the match of the night. Everybody, I think a lot of the population of fans would agree that AJ Styles versus Brock Lesnar was the match of the night, because it literally delivered every single thing that we were looking for. You had AJ, you had Brock simply pulling out all the stops. Brock Lesnar being his dominant best, and AJ Styles, not the underdog, but he was just showing. Styles found a way to show that he is as great as he is in the ring. He didn't seem like the underdog. Even though he was being dominated by Brock Lesnar, it was still not over, and he showed that, but he is exactly that good. And honestly, for me, I had said this in another previous episode where it would be very great if we could see a WWE rivalries documentary on the Usos versus the New Day from 2017. Same here. I would love to see the interaction between Brock and AJ and how everything was put together for this match and how everything came about when it kind of came to them giving this great match and this great performance, because it was literally that good. And I can only hope that I read a headline that said Brock is excited to work with AJ, and I can only hope that was the case because these two created magic. Unfortunately, the match that a lot of people were looking forward to as well, which was the traditional Survivor Series 5-on-5 men's match, did not live up to expectation. Unfortunately, it literally did not live up to expectation. Even the finish was very, it just fell flat. And it's not to say that it wasn't a good match, because it had great entertainment, and it had great showing, it had great cameos. Like in the beginning, you had mixing and matching, and you had potential matchups, you had like teaser matchups, you had that moment where it's like, oh, you get a chance to see this superstar go up against this superstar. Then you had a chance to see Bobby Roode, for instance, showing up against Triple H. You had those moments, and it was an amazing thing to see, but unfortunately it didn't deliver as much. And for me, I'll be very interested, to hear from like the WWE superstars, so like who do these podcasts, as to how they saw that match. Because if there's one thing I noticed about this entire program when it came to this match here, is that we didn't get a whole lot of these superstars. We didn't get any of these superstars showing out their personas and their personalities on the microphone, so as to possibly build a match. And you just literally had John Cena just being there. John Cena was just a body there. John Cena was John Cena, but he wasn't Super Cena. He was just there. You know what I mean? And then you also had Triple H, who ended up being a great factor in the entire scheme of things. But no one shone in that, if I can put it that way. Barring Samoa Joe and Finn Balor, there were those two, but like no one really shown the brightest, if I can put it that way. The match was the match. Braun Strowman, I think, can be counted as being like the biggest winner in all of that, in terms of where does that leave him, because it elevated him to a certain level when it comes to people, because it shows us how more dominant that he can be. At the same time, when you look at the women's match, you look at Asuka and how she was the sole survivor, and when Raw was literally down to just Asuka, you had to think that maybe, just maybe, Asuka was gonna lose. But then myself personally, I knew that Asuka wasn't gonna lose. There's no way that Asuka was not gonna be the sole survivor in that match. That didn't take away from her actually getting to that point where she was a sole survivor, because even though to someone like myself it was going to happen, it still was a great thing to watch. It still was a great moment when she did it. It still was a great way in how she got there, and it was very entertaining. It was I enjoyed it. I enjoyed seeing that entire match, and I enjoyed seeing the women pull it out. One can actually say, and when I say one, I'm referring to myself, that the women actually outdid the men in that traditional Survivor Series 5-on-5 elimination match. The women definitely outdid the men. So hats off to all the women of the WWE, and hats off to all of you guys for literally putting together a great match, which was very great to watch. Another shout out has to go to the Shield, of course, in the New Day, where the match wasn't as, absolutely explosive and tearing the roof off the place as it probably could have been, but it was still a great match to watch. And what a way to have them opening the show, because the transition from the kickoff show, which I was watching on YouTube, the last 30 minutes of it, all the way up until the beginning of the show, because that transition was amazing, because you had Renee saying that the Shield and the New Day are going to start the show, and then they panned the camera to the Shield backstage, and then the Shield was like walking towards the arena, and I was like, yes. And then I was tuning into Supersport, and then as I was tuning in, you saw the WWE I'm not sure whether you call it a logo or vignette or whatever that starting signature of the show is, what it's actually called. But I saw it, and it was in a small screen, and that's because the kickoff show was still going. As soon as the kickoff show ended on YouTube, the broadcast started on Supersport, and you saw the New Day, you saw the Shield, and they really did well for themselves, honestly. So all in all, I can definitely say that the biggest winner of the night, once again, if I can reiterate, was indeed Baron Corbin, who went over clean on The Miz. But not taking anything away from Charlotte versus Alexa Bliss, or Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus Breezango in the kickoff show, as well as Enzo Amore and Kalisto in the kickoff show, as well as Elias versus Matt Hardy on the kickoff show. But you have to give it up to Baron Corbin, then you also have to give it up to Brock Lesnar and AJ Styles, who definitely stole the show that entire night. Now, I wanted to wait until Monday Night Raw to see about what the fallout is going to be, and actually the fallout from Survivor Series, Monday Night Raw made up for what we saw at Survivor Series, in the sense that now we've got a new Intercontinental Champion in Roman Reigns, and then we also have Paige, who's finally back. And I marked out when Paige returned, and I didn't read anything in the past number of weeks that said that Paige might return. I didn't read any of that stuff. I literally just hoped and guessed that maybe it might just happen. It didn't happen at Survivor Series. It didn't happen in the few weeks prior to that, but it happened today. It happened this morning. Paige returned to the ring, and she brought with her Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. Now, for all of you guys who are not familiar with NXT, you might not be familiar with who those two are, but you will be impressed going forward. And I say, for me, this was not taking anything away from Roman Reigns' Intercontinental Championship win, but this was definitely the moment of the night, in the sense that now you got Paige, who's not gonna be the people's person, who's not gonna be a face. She's gonna be a heel with these three women. And now you have an alliance, a badass alliance with Paige and Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose. You have this alliance, which is very, very lethal if you look at it, because of the fact that if you watch the entire broadcast, you will see what happened backstage as well, because they also put Alexa Bliss on notice. So I can't wait to see what's going to happen with Paige, Mandy Rose, and Sonya Deville going forward. For me, that was the moment of the night. Yes, we saw The Miz. Yes, we saw Braun Strowman and Triple H. Yes, we saw Kurt Angle as well, stating that he will come out to Triple H if Triple H even thinks of turning on him again. But for me, Shem, those are the moments that stand out when it comes to Monday Night Raw, and that is Paige returning to the WWE and returning to the Monday Night Raw roster, as I said she would, because I've been telling people she's on the Raw roster when you see it on WWE.com. So she returned there on Monday Night Raw. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the fallout from Survivor Series when it comes to Monday Night Raw. So now all we gotta do is wait for Supersport to broadcast SmackDown Live tomorrow morning, and then we'll see the fallout on SmackDown when it pertains to Survivor Series. I can personally say Baron Corbin is definitely going to have something to say when it comes to that, because he was the big winner when it comes to Survivor Series. Yes, the Usos also pulled it off, as they were going to, because the Usos are the most dominant and they're the best tag team in the WWE. And as soon as people recognize that, the better. The sooner y'all recognize that, the better. And I'm sure we're going to see as well what's going to be happening with Kevin Owens as well as Sami Zayn, because remember, they did turn on the SmackDown team at Survivor Series, and one can say they cost them the victory, but we'll have to see what the fallout is going to be. And remember, we probably, most likely, will have the WWE Championship rematch between Jinder Mahal as well as AJ Styles. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the main card. This is the number one home for wrestling fans all over South Africa. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, and make sure you subscribe to the channel over here. I promise you that I bring you these episodes every single week, and I'm very excited right now to see what's going to be happening on SmackDown Live, as well as the fallout from NXT TakeOver War Games, which is going to probably come this Wednesday on NXT, but most likely I'm sure it's going to come going forward into next week. But, you know, excited as we all were for Survivor Series. It didn't deliver as much as we hoped it could, but Monday Night Raw definitely did deliver, as only Monday Night Raw aims to do. Not to say that SmackDown Live is not going to deliver, but hey man, they've got Raw set the bar for this week. No pun intended, of course, when it comes to Sheamus and Cesaro. But Raw set the bar this week, and SmackDown Live has a lot to do in order to, you know, live up to or even supersede that bar or even step over that bar, because Raw brought it this morning. Raw brought it. And for people who are still going to watch Monday Night Raw tonight, there's definitely going to be seeing something amazing. I'm Seda the Chosen King. I am the host of the main card, and I am so glad that you guys also clicked on the show and had a listen. And obviously, I'm sure, not obviously, but I'm hoping that you guys enjoyed the show. I'm going to be bringing you another episode. This time, we're going to be looking at what happened on SmackDown Live after tomorrow morning. But for myself, Seda the Chosen King, remember, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys the next time on the main card. Okay, that was a bit cheesy, but you get what I mean.